After over 5 decades of exploration and production activities in Nigeria, Shell Petroleum Development Company, SPDC, has been indicted by a United Nations Environment Programme report over widespread oil spills caused by its practices in Ogoniland, Nigeria's Niger Delta oil region. Our next report takes a look at the level of environmental degradation in Ogoniland and the impact the UNEP report will create in the coming days.
On February the 25th, 2010, the Presidential Implementation Committee, the governing body of UNEP's Environmental Assessment of Ogoniland project, arrived in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, South Nigeria. Their mission? To assess the impact of environmental degradation in the Niger Delta region, with emphasis on Ogoniland. After a thorough examination of the entire process, the United Nations Environment Programme formally handed over its report to the Environmental Assessment of Ogoniland at the State House, where it raised issues that will reasonably dominate public discourse in the months ahead. While restating the environmental crisis caused by oil exploitation in the Niger Delta, the United Nations agency in the report says it could take 30 years to clean up Ogoni oil spill. That project, according to the report, would cost the federal government and the errant multinational oil companies a whopping $1 billion, about 150 billion naira. Now, this is not the first time the UNDP would be making a startling disclosure on oil spillage in the Niger Delta. In its report in early 2000, it stated that there had been a total of 6,817 oil spills between 1976 and 2001, which accounted for a loss of 3 million barrels of oil, of which more than 70% was not recovered. About 69% of those spills occurred offshore. A quarter was in the swamps, and 6% spilled on land.
We hear the sounds of these oil blows, so we were afraid. Everybody ran out. Everybody was shouting, especially the youth. So we didn't know why Shell cannot protect their property in this our community. Where? So we want Shell to leave this place because we are not getting anything from them. We have no work, nothing, no drinking water. You can see us. We don't have even 1 naira to eat, and we are the owners of this oil.
Ogoniland had received international attention following non-violent opposition to oil companies in the early 1990s over oil pollution and lack of corresponding financial benefits for the people. Ken Saro-Wiwa, an author and activist, became the symbol of such agitation when he was charged with incitement to murder and was executed by the military government of late General Sani Abacha in 1995. Environmental activist Mr. Ledum Meti, who has been in the forefront of the struggle for the liberation of Ogoniland, also lends his voice to this level of degradation.
Something that the community feels that they lose if something happens to it. So that's stake. Whether you like it, you call it equity. If you like, you call that. But in my view, if the word equity seems controversial, you can also add it as a cost of production. In other words, if you are producing $5 per barrel, then why don't you add another 5 barrels, for instance, and say it costs us $10 to produce 1 barrel of oil, and that extra $5 is the cost of production, which you keep for the community, maybe in sort of trust fund for their own development.
The oil firm at the center of the controversy in the entire Ogoni saga, Shell Petroleum Development Company, SPDC, accepted responsibility for the devastating oil spills in Nigeria's Ogoniland. This was after the Bodo fishing community had sued Shell in the UK, alleging that spills in 2008 and 2009 had destroyed the environment and ruined their livelihood.
SPDC is taking what action it can. It is cleaning up spills from SPDC joint venture facilities, including those caused by sabotage and oil theft, and returning the site to their natural state. This work is checked and approved by government agencies. and we have recently made more than 100 temporarily shut-in wells more tamper-proof to stop further spills from them caused by theft and sabotage.
In at least 10 Ogoni communities where drinking water is contaminated with high levels of hydrocarbons, public health is seriously threatened, and according to the UNEP report, scientists found an 8-centimeter layer of refined oil floating on the groundwater which serves the abandoned oil wells.
They are all politicians, promise and fail, so I don't like them. You see? Huh?
Thank you.
I'm not happy. I know they're gaining from this, but we who are suffering from the effect of this thing, we are nothing. And we are suffering it. People who are not even nearer to this thing are enjoying it. They feel no better air. You can't stay here in the evening time.
Well-meaning Nigerians would hope that these findings will break the decades of deadlock in the Niger Delta region and provide the foundation upon which trust can be built and action taken to remedy the multiple health and sustainable development issues facing people in Ogoni land and the entire Niger Delta region.